everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As you can tell by the title, I have another black pattern designer review plus a finish of what I started on Sunday. You would have seen that video. I had already finished the Sassy sweatsuit, the bottoms, but I didn't finish the top because I ran out of fabric. And so yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So today's video is two different patterns that I will review. One is just finishing up what I talked about on Sunday, like I said, and another one is a tote bag. So for those who are new to the channel, welcome, and welcome back to those who continue to tune in from week to week. I appreciate you all for tuning in. This is BHM Pattern Designer Sewing Challenge for the entire month of February, which I host every year. And the entries, you have time to sew, knit, crochet, quilt, whatever it is that you would like to do. As long as it's by a black pattern designer, you have time from February 1st through February 28th to submit your entry. So we only have 2 more weeks to go. So come on, I know how it goes every year. It's like the last week and a half is when the flood of entries come in, which is totally fine. And for those who are new and wondering what it is all about, of course, I will link to the website page down below. Real simple, black pattern designer. It doesn't matter if it's a garment, crochet, knitting, quilting, handbag, wallets, whatever. As long as it's a black pattern designer, it could be commercial as well. There are black pattern designers who are designers for commercial patterns, your Vogue, your Simplicity, your McCall's. I mean, you've seen the ones I've done on my channel. And if you are interested, I will make sure at the end of this video a playlist of everything I have made over the years by black pattern designers. I'll have that pop up. But if you are participating, definitely just make sure that the pattern that you are using is a black pattern designer. And again, you have until February 28th to submit your entry. All right, so let's jump into it. You might be able to tell from the top that I am wearing, y'all. I'm liking this. She giving sassy. Patterns by D Sassy sweatsuit is giving sassy on this top. And so you all know when I talked about this that for off the shoulder, I've seen several people who made the off the shoulder, you know, they're braless or I don't know if they're braless, but maybe they have on a strapless bra, whatever. No, the girl's too big for all that. And I like to wear bras with straps and all of that. And so I knew I was just gonna rock her with my black tank with off the shoulder, and I like the way she looks. Okay, so what happened, for those who might be wondering, what did I do with because I intended on making this set in this fabric. I just shared this, it was the start of it, and I said I was going to go back to Joann's and try to figure out, see if they had more of this fabric, because I really wanted it in this here, all of this fabric, but Joann's did not, at least the location I went back to, did not have it. And so what I ended up doing was the fabric that I had left, I had showed you on my table that I would probably switch and make something else with what I had left. And so I end up doing what I said, which is ME2026, which is by the Corny Rainbow, another black pattern designer for Know Me Patterns. But I had to cut the back, and you really can't tell, but I had to cut the back on the fold. But yeah, I was able to get this tank, and I've made so many of these. I mean, that's what this is that I'm wearing underneath the Sassy sweatsuit top. And so this is a TNT, is right next to my cutting table. If I have enough knit, I will just go ahead and cut it out. So that's what I did. I'll pop up pictures how it looks together. So I have technically 1.5 Sassy sweatsuits, 2 pairs of shorts, 1 top. Pretty much is all that I have. So let's get into this little number that I was able to make with some fabric that I end up picking up at Joann's. So I panned you down just a little bit. So this is the full Sassy sweatsuit, and I'll pop up pictures. Again, I stuck with my modification of making instead of doing sweatpants, to do shorts. And this fabric is also from Joann's. Look at that. But it is not thick. It is not thick at all, but I loved it when I saw it, and it was in there in the 60% off. So I needed 5 yards. Remember, I did say the Sassy Sweatsuit is a fabric hungry pattern, and I cut out a size 3X. Measurements for me, full bust is actually 46, waist is 42, and the hip is 55. So what I end up doing is cutting out the 3X totally for the top and the bottoms. And like I said on Sunday, really easy pattern. I hadn't sewn up the top at that point, but I did sew up the top. So super easy to put together. So super easy. I think this is a very beginner friendly pattern, and plus, as I mentioned before, she does have a sew along on her channel. A couple things I will say is what that I did not do. So on the bottom of the top, and so sorry for some of my markings there, and here's the thing that I like about this top. You might, let me sit down for a second. You might notice in the pattern that I'm 5'7". I don't know how tall D is, but I'm 5'7". And even at 5'7", I have a shorter torso. And so when I was looking at the pattern, first I was concerned that it would be too cropped for me, but actually because of my shorter torso, it hits right at the top of my shorts, that I made into shorts. And so I absolutely love that. The other thing is you're meant to put there's a opening here that you're meant to put elastic through, you know, to bring it in. I didn't do that. I wasn't planning on doing that because I usually don't like stuff like that. I didn't want being fuller bust. If it was gathered in, I didn't want it to raise up for whatever reason, you know, doing these shifting funny looking things. I still have the opening over here on this side. In the event, you know, over time I feel like, oh yeah, it needs to be gathered, but I like it the way it is. And again, I'll pop up pictures. So one side of the cuff or sleeve, both sleeves are cut out on the fold. One of the reasons I think it is such a fabric hungry pattern is the larger you go in size, the more fabric you need. And so, for example, if I were to, for sizes 3X through 5X, and that's the pattern that I purchased, because you can purchase in different size ranges, it needs 5 yards. But if you're extra large to a 2XL, you need 4 or 4.5, and then for extra small it's 3.5. And so that sounds like a lot for this type of sweatsuit, but I think what's really eating up the fabric is the sleeves, because the sleeves get cut on the fold. You do have a cuff on one sleeve, but then on the other side you have the tie, and so that tie is a long tie piece, and so that's eating up more fabric. And so, but when I did not follow the sew along. I just read the instructions. The instructions were great. I was able to get through it. Now, purchasing the pattern can be a little tricky. I will say, I forgot to mention this in my video on Sunday. When you go to the website to make the purchase of her pattern, you can't do it, at least my experience, you can't purchase it from your computer. You need to purchase it through your mobile device. I don't know if it works through a tablet, but I had issues initially with purchasing the pattern through my computer, because what happens is when you purchase, it auto populates to your email, and so I don't think I had that feature activated on my computer or whatever the case may be, but it would never reroute to my email. And so I did reach out to D, and she was willing to email me, but I said, well, let me try from my cell phone. And so when I did it from my mobile device, it worked perfectly fine. It just picked up through my email, and what happens is it's a auto generated with asking you the size that you need, and she tells you the instructions in the auto population of what happens when you get the pattern and all that different type of stuff. So that's the only thing that's a little different about purchasing her patterns, is this whole auto generated email. If you're used to just going to a site, hit purchase like a Etsy or a website, hit purchase and that's it. You get the downloads and that's it. This is kind of this a little bit of back and forth with the auto population process, but that went smoothly. I did send it off to print. I actually sent it to Blue Cup Shop, and who's also listed on the website. But so yeah, I sent it and I paid for it myself. Even though Blue Cup Shop is a sponsor for BHM this year, I did purchase the patterns with my own money. But I say give this a try. And if you're like me, who you're not the one to be, you know, off the shoulder, like if I wanted to, I don't think I would ever wear it like this where it's double. Yeah, I'm not for that, but the one side where it's up and then this one side slants over with the little strappy strap showing from my tank, I'm good. You would be good if you're comfortable with wearing something like this. I think this is super cute. I've actually never made anything off the shoulder like this before, and when I saw this sweatsuit, because this is going with me to the retreat, so you all know the sewing retreat is actually next week. This time next week the retreat is going. But anyway, so yeah, that I love it. First time for everything, and I'm so happy how it turns out with the shorts and with this top. So yeah, like I said, this is going to the retreat. So let's jump over to Beauty J'adore's what is it called, the Aviano tote, I believe it's called that. Let me make sure. Aviano tote bag. All right, so the Aviano tote bag. Now this bag, out the gate, I'm just going to say one of the things that I do like about the pattern, and I've noticed this with other bag designers as well, I'm happy more of them are I don't know if it's layout, design, I don't know the technical term for it, but they're putting their patterns, allowing their patterns to be print at a copy shop. So an AO size copy is included with the pattern, and so it is for this. Initially, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll just send it to print, because I was sending some other things to Blue Cup Shop, and I was like, oh, but it's a bag, it's an easy bag pattern. I'll just tape it together and it'll be fine. Okay, so I wish I had sent it to print, because I struggled a little bit with taping the pattern pieces together. For one, it was a little hard to see on the print at home diagram that's in the pattern how everything was supposed to look once it's taped together. And so I figured, oh, if I had sent this to print, it, you know, I could have easily just cut it out. But once I got everything taped together, then it was fine. And then I just kind of laid it on the floor and saw from a higher standpoint, from me standing up looking at it, like, oh, okay, that's where I'm cutting. Because it was a little hard to see on the diagram that's in the pattern. Another thing, the finish measurements, the height is 17 inches, across the bottom is 15, across the top is 23 inches, and the depth is 6 inches. One thing I will say about this pattern is, I think it's a very easy pattern, but full disclosure, I think that's coming from somebody like me who has made bags before. And the reason I say this is, I know although this pattern, all you see in here is canvas and leather, there are no instructions that tell you if you're not going to use this, then you need to take this or that into consideration, like interfacings and maybe some different things. If you want the bag to almost stand up how it looks in the, well, it's hanging from the dress form in the picture, but how it looks in there, if you're looking for that sturdier look, but you're not going to use canvas or leather, what would you need to do? So for somebody like me who know what to do, because I wasn't planning to make this in leather or in canvas, I knew that either one, I would need to put a thick stabilizer in there on the inside of the bag. So maybe the outside, you could definitely use a, say, by Annie Soft and Stable, just so if you want that stand-up effect. You can attach that to your outer, but that would be a lot of Soft and Stable. And then plus you need to, you know, stitch it kind of close to the edges and the seam allowance. And this one, and I could have easily overlooked it, but I did not see seam allowance mentioned at all. What seam allowance were you supposed to use in this pattern? So because one step mentions sewing something at a 1/2 inch, I just sewed the whole bag at a 1/2 inch, even though it didn't say that. That's the seam allowance that I use to sew it up. Another thing, so that's the only thing. If you are not going to use leather canvas, which what she sews this up in, and the instructions don't say if you don't use these particular materials, then these are some things you need to take in consideration. So yeah, that's the only, even though it's super easy, it is super easy to sew, it's just the instructions don't give you alternative methods of making the bag if you don't use what she is using, because she do say in her steps for some of the leather pieces, use leather tape and stuff like that. Obviously, if you're not using those different types of materials, you don't need that type of thing. But what I used was, because I envisioned this being in camo, and so, oh, I'm holding it up backwards. So I have it in camo. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, what I have for my front pocket here is, this is faux leather, and this is from Joann's. It's just a faux leather, and I thought the contrast color was super cute against the camo, and so that's what I use. Now you will notice here my handbag, my strap for the handbag is tied. I am actually going to cut this off, and it's just attached through the D-ring on the side. I thought I had, has been a running thing as of late, it seems. I thought I had webbing, black webbing. I have all this webbing. I have a ton of webbing. Do you know I have no solid black? I thought that I did, but I do not. And so that's what I wanted to use for my strap, is webbing, not, you know, this. So I just, you know, stitched some of the faux leather together and put a knot in it, because when I initially put it on and I had it over my shoulder, it really stretched. And that's because, you know, for one, I didn't properly interface this because I wasn't planning on using it. But just to finish the bag so you can see how it looks, I just did that as a temporary fix. But by the time my roundup video comes up, much like my other handbag that I didn't have the strap ends for, this will be looking how it's supposed to look. The other thing is making sure it's going to look how it's going to look is, you see I have this blue twill tape going through the strap, through these little things here. No, again, I thought, and I know I have this, I don't know where it is. I wanted a black drawstring to go through here, because there is a pattern piece to cut your drawstring and put it through here, but I had no intentions on using that. And I said, oh, I'll just use my drawstring. I have plenty of it, which I do. It is on a roll, and I haven't the slightest idea where it is. So hopefully I can find it. I may have to just get some just so I can, you know, when I do my roundup, you see the final look and how I intended it to look. But I like this as just a quick go here and there. You just kind of throw a couple things in here because it's nice and baggy like, and I thought for like maybe something that I have on now, this will be so cute just to have, you know, running errands or something like that. It does have a pocket on the inside, which for me, I did black lining, but my inside pocket I made out of the same camo. And this is a camo from Joann's also. And it was just in the, it's not denim. It's not a denim. It's very light. It's something like shirting, almost light as shirting. And so, but definitely not as heavy as denim. So it is super easy to put together. I tell you, it took me an hour and a half to sew this up. It was so easy. But again, if you are not familiar with making handbags and how to make adjustments to what you're sewing, then this may not be the pattern for you. However, if you are familiar with making handbags and know, oh, okay, for this step, instead of doing X, Y, and Z, I'll do, you know, ABC, because I'm using a different type of fabric. So, but outside of that, because it's only, let me tell you, it's only, how many, is it 10 steps? It's only 10. It's only 10 steps to sew this up. It's so easy. You box out the corners and everything. And so, oh, let me just share with you the last thing I did. You're meant to, if you're familiar with handbags, you sew them right sides together, and so you can turn it right side out and everything like that. I did drop-in lining just to see how it would go, and I think it actually went very fine. It went fine. So I did a drop-in lining instead of the turning in and out, and so it worked out fine. There was one area, because I didn't have it taut when I was clipping it, that is just ever so slightly bunched, and I don't even know what that is, because you could barely tell. I can tell obviously because I made it, but outside of that, the drop-in lining worked out perfectly for me. But yeah, this is, I thought, just cute. Just you running a quick errand and you just casual. And I thought, you know, the pocket on the outside. And I didn't stabilize this or anything like that when I put this down. But yeah, I thought super easy, super duper easy. I think that's it. So those are my makes for this week. The completed Sassy Sweatsuit by Patterns by D. I'll leave links to both of the patterns in the description box, and Beauty J'adore's Aviano tote bag. So that is it. Let me know what you are working on. Let me know what you think of this look. I should have popped up pictures and everything, but yeah, let me know what you think of these different pieces, these items, and don't forget to tag So Natural Day and BHM Pattern Designers, and use the hashtag BHM Pattern Designers 25 for your entry to count. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right, everybody, have a blessed one, and we will see you on Sunday. Bye.